going to be essentially starting over with The Boy in the Striped Pajamas since it's been such a long time. There's been a gap in the time that we've studied it. However, the first PowerPoint is the exact same PowerPoint that was due before spring break. So if you've already completed it and turned it in, you don't have to redo this section. So again, if you've already done this PowerPoint, you do not have to do this again. I am simply going to be going over the PowerPoint and my expectations for it, and kind of just giving you some ideas of how to complete it to the best of your ability. Alright, so the first thing you've got to do is obviously download the PowerPoint. You do that the same way that we've always downloaded things. You go to Canvas, you click on the assignment, you download the blue link, you click Enable Editing, and you're good to go. So the first slide is about the author. This is just a little tidbit about John Boyne. It tells you that he was born in Dublin, Ireland, which is it's connected to the story because Ireland is part of Europe, and Europe was heavily impacted by World War II. It tells you about why he wrote the book and what he's doing since then. So just a little background information about him. For this one, I just want you to describe what you already know about each term. We already should know a lot about this because we've already read Prisoner B-3087. We know that the Nazis were it was the political party that controlled Germany during World War III. They were responsible for the Holocaust, which was the mass extermination of anyone that they didn't deem German. Anti-Semitism, we know that anti means against, and then Semitism, that is it's in reference to the Jewish culture. So anti-Semitism is anti-Jew, or being against Jewish people or Judaism. And then we did a whole unit on propaganda and how propaganda was the little tricks that people use to influence what other people think. So just in your own words, tell me what you already know. To do that, you just click in the box and you start typing. Nazis. Well, see, easy enough. And then you just move on to the next one. You talk about the Holocaust. Again, you just click in the box. You don't need to delete anything. You just click in the box, hit enter, and type your response. Okay, that should be fairly straightforward and simple. Alright, so you have to read chapters 1 through 3. Now, in my first PowerPoint video, I read the chapters to you. So I am not going to reread chapters 1 through 3 for you. You should still have access to those videos. If not, check YouTube. If I'm not reading it to you, there can be someone else reading it to you. You should have that function on your computer that will read any Word document on your computer to you. So you can definitely use that. Alright, so the next slide, as you read, think about the behaviors people are displaying and how those behaviors might tell us about the character. Right. This is some vocabulary that you're going to see in chapters 1 through 3. Surrogates, it's like a cucumber. Desolate means depressingly empty or bare. Mucky is very messy or covered with dirt or filth. Spluttering, it's where you sort of similar to stuttering, I would imagine. It would be a good way to describe it. And then a tartan, it's a wool cloth worn by Scottish Highlander clans. and each clan has their own distinctive pattern. Um, so if you look at a kilt, it's a plaid design that is that clan's specific tartan. Um, and a clan goes based off of like your last names and things like that. So there's Clan Duncan and lots of other ones, and they each have their distinctive um, patterns. So for the next section, you're just going to again click in the boxes and begin typing. Use these words in sentences referring to the events that happen in this section. So for example, for this chapter, he talks about corrugates as part of his remembering the vegetable stalls in Berlin. Desolate, that's pretty much how the new house feels, and that sort of thing. And you do the same thing on the next slide with mustard, spluttering, and tartan. Alright, so it says, describe what you know about Bruno's life in Berlin. What mattered most to him about Berlin? As you complete this one, I want you to think about what he complains about he's going to miss the most. And who he's sad to leave behind. And don't forget that there are two parts to this question. You have to describe his life in Berlin, and then what mattered to him most. For slide 10, what inferences could you make about Bruno's father from the information in chapter 1? Specifically in chapter 1, what do you think we could infer or make assumptions about based on what we've read? Think about his personality, and also think about what it would take to get to the top ranks of the Nazi Party. Just kind of using prior knowledge and outside information to help you answer this question. You don't have to be confined to what the book says. You can create your own thoughts based on what you already know. Alright, in your opinion, why do you think Bruno had a difficult time understanding what his father did at work? This is your opinion. As long as you can tell me what you think, you get credit. I'm looking for the why you think it, not the what. So you have to tell me, I think Bruno has a difficult time understanding what his father does at work because he's blind in one eye, and I think he's blind in one eye. I'm totally making up something random, but as long as you can explain to me why you think that, you're going to be fine. That I'm more looking for the why you think it. So that's where you're going to cite evidence and that sort of stuff. Why would having turning all the lights off at night have kept Bruno's family safe? What did this tell you about the story's setting? Think about the Allies fighting in World War II, and specifically how Yannick in Prisoner B-3087 seemed to know that they were getting closer. What would you be able to see at night from an airplane? Back in World War II, we didn't have night vision goggles or video cameras and things like that. So you're strictly looking down, and you would need to be able to see the lights in order to know that you were bombing in the right area. So how would turning the lights off prevent the Allies from attacking? Keep that in mind as you're answering. The new house made Bruno feel empty and cold. Why do you think Bruno felt this way? Think of the way Bruno described the new house. What about it seems empty and cold? Bruno's mother said, "We don't have the luxury of thinking. Some people make all the decisions for us." Why did his mother say this? Cite evidence from the novel. Who is some people? Think of how his mother must be feeling about the move. She obviously has no say in the matter. They're moving because her husband has a job opportunity, and maybe she's not excited about leaving behind her lifestyle. But there's not really much of a choice for her. So, why do you think she says it like that? What inferences could you make from Maria's comment that soldiers have very serious jobs, or they think so anyway? think of the sarcasm in this quote. If she doesn't truly believe they have a serious job, what must she think? So essentially, you're basically explaining the sarcasm in that quote. Slide 16, specifically, what did this tell you about her character? So what does that sarcasm in slide 15, what does that sarcasm tell you about Maria as a person? Um, think about how she really feels if she doesn't think they have important jobs. Slide 17, how could you explain each of Bruno's and Gretel's reactions to the children seen from the bedroom window? That's just going to require you to look back over that section and interpret their reactions. What are they saying? They don't seem excited to me. So what do you think they're thinking there? How could the house serve as a symbol for Bruno's family, or what his life was about to become? Right, think about how the author describes the house. It's smaller. There's not as much luxury to it. It's empty and desolate and alone. How do you think that could compare to the life that Bruno is going to have? And if you've watched the movie already, then you should be able to kind of piece together what's going to happen. And that's okay to use prior or existing knowledge, pre-existing knowledge that you already have. Right? In your opinion, why do you think Bruno always tried to be honest with himself? Again, this is your opinion. I don't care what you say, but I want to know why you're saying it. If you think he tries to be honest with himself because he has nobody else to be honest with, then tell me what makes you think that. Don't just leave it at a simple answer. You do still need to be employing the race writing strategy. Okay? Based on what you've read in the first 3 chapters, why is it important not to pass judgments based on appearances? Alright, so I want you to think about how Bruno has passed judgment already. Think about the house. Think about how his reaction to what he sees out his bedroom window, how that has really, that was a prejudgment. Okay? And 21, identify the 4 most important events in The Boy in the Striped Pajamas from this section. So specifically from chapters 1 through 3, in order of how they happened. Describe them. Again, guys, you're just clicking beside the comma and typing. Okay? And then you move to the next one, click and type. Click and type. And click and type. Right? If you happen to accidentally delete a box somehow, don't panic. Don't touch anything else. Hit Control Z and it'll come right back up. If you can't do that, you can go to Insert. It's one of the tabs up at the top, and insert a text box. Or you can right click over here and do copy and paste it. It's not that big of a deal. If all else fails, give me a call and I'll gladly go over it. Alright, so for slide 22, this is a part where you get to be a little bit creative. You're going to write, if you were to write the author of this book and tell him about a time when your life changed overnight, what would the email look like? Write the descriptive 3-paragraph email below. Alright guys, it says 3 paragraphs. So if you just write me, my life never changed, that is not enough. That is not going to get you credit. You have to do the 3 paragraphs. So if you've already done this, but you don't think you did it correctly, go back and resubmit. And you can be as personal as you want here, guys. The only people that are going to see this is me. I'm the only one that's going to see this. So you don't have to worry about your classmates reading it. But at the same time, I'm not looking for an extravagantly big, detailed thing. It could be that you had to move schools, or that your parents told you were going to be a big brother or sister, or that your grandparents moved in with you, or whatever the case may be. Just, it doesn't have to be huge. It could be that you got a dog. That changes your life. Whatever the change may be. Everyone's life has changed. You went to it. You moved up a grade. That's a big change. So just, don't get bogged down on thinking that it's got to be that you move. It doesn't have to be as big of a change as Bruno had. Alright, for the section review, this is again just, I'm just trying to deepen that understanding. Alright, so how might the metaphor of civilization of dolls be important to the story? Develop two possible ideas. Alright, first of all, think about what dolls are. They're toys that people play with. Uh, think about what a civilization is. It's a group of people living in an organized society. And then compare that to how the Jews are being played with, or how they really don't have dolls don't get to tell you what they want to do. You do what you want with them. So compare that to the Jews. Maybe that will guide your thinking. Alright, as of this chapter, the author has already developed a few themes for this novel. Describe one of the themes below that John Boyne might be developing for the entire novel and explain your thinking. Alright, so we've already seen Bruno being not necessarily lied to, but his parents aren't as straightforward as they should be with him. And so we're going to see how that can play a role in the story. Bruno is very naive and very childish, so maybe the innocence of being a child, and how that can affect the character. Remember, a theme is the message. What do you think, based off of these 3 chapters, the author wanted you to know already? Alright, 26 says, what was Bruno hoping to see outside of his new bedroom window? Guys, think about what he left. What do you think he wants to see? Describe the overall mood of the chapters, or how reading the text made you feel as a reader. That's just, straightforward. Just tell me what you're feeling based on these 3 chapters. And then the last one is, what could be 3 possible ways that being the child of a German officer and being asked to move frequently could shape the personalities of the children involved? Guys, think about specifically German officers in World War II, moving around, being exposed to the things that they are exposed to, like, I don't know, having to live in a concentration camp. How could that shape the personalities of the children involved?